watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, folks. Freddie Vasquez. Tonight, let's discuss Corazon Pineda Isaac. And her interview with the Yonkers Voice. Let's see what the mayoral candidate has to education, crime, homelessness, term limits, and nepotism. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Web 5. Shout out to all the Puerto Ricans out there as we celebrate the Puerto Rican Day Parade and Festival. Speaking of Hispanic and Latinos, Corazon Pineda Isaac, the Latina princess, is hoping to become the next mayor of the city of Yonkers. The District 2 councilwoman has been highly criticized by many, including those who are not looking to support Mayor Spano. Why is that? I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Good evening, folks. Happy Sunday. How's it going? I was at the parade earlier. Did you guys see the video? It's pretty cool. A lot of people were out there, but I remember back when I was younger, a lot more people used to attend. So let's see if we could get it going again and get those sidewalks filled up for next year. But anyway, tonight I want to talk about Corazon Pineda Isaac. She did an interview with the Yonkers Voice, which I must admit, I didn't see that. I don't know why until today. And so I started to watch it. I apologize for coming on late. I was trying to load up all these videos onto Facebook so I can show you and we can discuss. She says some things that I agree with. She says some things that I don't agree with. She says some things that make me question, some of what she's saying and if she's being genuine or not. Let's just listen to what she has to say. Let's go to the first video. She talks about education, crime, homelessness. She talked about the nepotism, term limits, and she also was questioned about her contributors. Who contributes to her, right? Does she get donations from? And look, this guy from the Yonkers Voice, I mean, he doesn't go this hard for anybody else. Like, I've never seen him go this hard on somebody, on a candidate, questioning them, even trying to pull up some receipts, as they say, right? Trying to show whether or not she had been accepting money from all these developers, as he says, and did she vote for all these development projects when she discussed the developments going up here in the city of Yonkers? So, I didn't, and we'll go into it, but this is the thing I don't, like about some of these other, guys out there. They're not really fair. They're not, unbiased. He asked also about the city vehicle, which he's making a point, and I get it, and I agree with it. However, he's never questioned other folks on it, such as Shanae Williams. Like the other day when he went over there to interview her, where she was at the Glocks for Oxic Film Academy, where she had been volunteering her time using the city car, parking it in a space that may have been legal but wasn't parked properly, too close to the corner there. People have to cross, right? But no one says anything. He didn't say anything about this. But Corazon Pineda Isaac, he sure is going in a little bit on her. Let's listen to what she had to say here.
Pineda Isaac, and I'm a councilwoman here in Yonkers, representing District 2. I've been on the council for 9 full years, and I'm currently in my 10th year in office. And the reason that I'm running for mayor is because my time on the council has allowed me to see a lot of the inefficient practices that have happened in government. And I believe that we need a fresh set of eyes, a new lens, and a different perspective to lead our city into the 21st century. To make sure that we implement policies that work for people, that we create an economic development strategy that is for all of Yonkers, not just the waterfront, and then we really invest resources in our communities to those that need it the most.
I'm sorry. Thank you. No, I was saying that I agree with her in terms of development. Most of the developments that we've been seeing, the luxury, have been kept to the waterfront, right? And people who once had nice views of these of the river and the Palisades no longer have it. They're being blocked by these tall towers. People are getting upset because they're being built on their streets. So we have to spread them out, especially the affordable housing, which they seem to be keeping just to a certain area, right? They're not going too far east there, but they're going away from the water, right? They don't want the affordable housing on the water. That's reserved for the luxury folks, right? So there needs to be spread out. And there's some other things she mentions on the developments here that I'll get into when she speaks about it. Let's move on to the next video here.
Absolutely. So, one of my first priorities is make sure that we are investing more in our young public schools, making sure that we're providing all of the resources that they need to really maximize their education. So, we're talking about making sure that we're investing in full music, sports, and arts. That we are adding additional guidance counselors, psychologists, mental health services to our schools. That we're investing in our school buildings to provide adequate learning conditions for our students. That we're making the process to access additional resources for their parents not so difficult. So I think one of my main priorities in my vision for young is making sure that we invest in every public schools in a way that parents and families truly feel it. Another one of my visions for youngsters is to making sure we take
I agree with that, right? I agree. We need to, invest more in our schools. 1,000%. We need more music and arts because there are. And someone was telling me this. My kids' schools have a music and arts program, and they do have a music and arts program, in some schools. But there needs to be more music and arts and more, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but it needs to be more on point, right? I went to my kids' concert, and I get it. They're not, professional singers, but I think it could have been a little tighter, a little bit better. And I guess, I understand also that I've also recorded music and have an ear for music and stuff like that. I didn't expect them to be, you know, this great amazing thing, but I just thought it could have been better, and I think that we need more of an effort in these areas for sure. Now, I just don't want them to be talking points, right? Because we hear this all the time from the politicians when they're running for re-election or for election for the first time. Oh, we need to invest more in schools, we need more music, we need more arts, we need more sports, we need this, we need that. And we all agree. Yes, we've said it over and over. But what we need is solutions and details, the logistics. How will we get there, right? We know what we need. What we don't know is how to get there. That's the part where we have trouble, all right? So when I hear, these talking points that we need this, that, and the third, I agree. When I don't hear the logistics to how we're going to get there, that's when I have a problem. And so that's when I just say, is it just talking points, right? Is it really just talking points? Can we trust them, right? As Will says, can't trust Yonkers City officials. I'm not sure if you can trust many officials throughout the country, right? Not just in Yonkers, especially these days, especially when they're running for office, right? Especially when they're running for office, right? They'll say anything.
As the building department and really bring it to the 21st century. So in my time as city councilwoman, I have learned of the inefficient practices that are within the buildings department. I've heard of business owners who say that, they have to wait 8 months to a year for a permit for their business. I have heard from homeowners and, who say there's a running joke in Yonkers. A joke that says, if you want to build a deck or something in your home to enjoy for summer, let's say 2023, you have to go to the building department in summer of 2022, just so you can have it in time for that summer. So, that is a joke when it comes to Yonkers, except that there's nothing funny about it. Because we're talking about people's lives, people's investment in their homes, people's businesses, their livelihood. And when folks, cannot get efficient practices within our city services, we are really hurting our families and in Yonkers. When people call the buildings department and they feel like their issues are not taken seriously, we are hurting families that live in our city that rely on us to take their issues and their matters seriously and really follow up on it. So I think we have to really take a close look at the Yonkers Building Department, look at it from inside out, and really make sure we bring it to the 21st century, to digitize it, to add more inspectors, to add practices that make it a more seamless process and an easier process for our businesses and our homeowners.
Yep, I totally agree with that. As someone who's dealt with the building department, who continues to deal with the building department on a regular basis, not just with my daycare center. I've dealt with the building department here in the city of Yonkers. Before that, I'm dealing with it on other projects as well. It is very, very much a stressful and frustrating process. And as someone who's also dealt with the building department many, many times for, a decade now in the city, I don't understand why the city of Yonkers, which only has 200,000 residents, right, and not all are homeowners, right, can't get their system to be exactly what the city has. New York City has a digital system. It's called DOB Now. You can go on there and do most everything right on there. You don't have to leave your office, your home, nothing at all. I don't know why. And you can self-certify your architects if they're able to do that, making the process a lot quicker. Everything's online. The city has millions of people, millions of properties. I don't know if that million, but a lot of properties, right? So I don't understand why we have not, gotten up to the 21st century, as Corazon Pineda Isaac says. 8 months to a year for permits. That's true. Sometimes longer, sometimes 2.5, 3 years. I've seen it. I've been in that situation with clients. It's crazy. But how do we get there? Everything takes money, right? A lot of those folders, I'm not sure if you guys have gone into the building department to look up a folder or two. It's crazy. They're all out of order. A lot of stuff is missing there. It's ridiculous. You don't even know where to begin. So how they're going to start this, how are you going to implement it? We need, again, a logistical plan, right? We need the details. Don't make it sound like talking points. See, she seems like a very nice young lady, but the problem is that the issue she is raising now existed during her decade on the city council. She voted for budgets which included friends and family, which she now makes an issue. She highlighted only the blight on the southwest side, while the removal of the street trash receptacles, trash receptacles, but never complained before. The building department, she was okay with the removal of the very important PE engineer requirement of the crucial building department commissioner. Good point, Joan. That's right. That's a legislation that was introduced by City Council member Mike Breen of the 5th District, right? What great legislators these guys are, right? What amazing legislation. What would we have ever done without that legislation, Mr. Breen? Did you see the picture of Mike Breen sleeping in his office? I mean, he's just passed out in his office. Maybe that's why people don't get a response from Mike Breen, because he's fast asleep. But where's Steve Trevert? That's his chief of staff. He should at least be awake. He's making $90,000 a year. But the man doesn't do anything either, right? So that's the problem, right? They do nothing except introduce legislation to reduce the requirement, reduce the requirement for the position of building department commissioner. So they no longer have to be a licensed engineer. They can just be anybody as long as they are a good manager. And that's what Sam Borelli was supposed to be, a good manager. But nothing has changed. Nothing. People still go in there, still have problems, still has not been digitized. However, they have created a new office. They have cleaned it up a bit. But I don't think anything is moving any faster for people here in the city of Yonkers. So that's very true. Again, that's a Mike Breen legislation. Way to go, Mike. How do you introduce legislation to reduce the requirement? Reduce.
Registry. And I was frustrated at how long it took for the building registry to actually be created after passing it. Really, the goal of the registry is to take a close look at the properties and property owners that are here in our city, and make sure that we create for accessibility for the people who are looking to make commitments on rental properties. Because there's nothing more sacred than having a safe place to live. We wanted to afford residents the opportunity to search a property, learn its history, and know of any open violations or recurrent violations that a property may have. Therefore, that's one of the ways that I look to tackle the issues that we saw ongoing within the building department. there are many years that every year that I'm on the city council, I have fought for additional funding for our schools. There are budgets that I didn't vote for because I felt they didn't do enough for our Yonkers public schools. Every year during the budget season, I talked about our ratios from students to guidance counselors. It was 800 to 1, 600 to 1, and those are the issues that our families face. Imagine coming post a pandemic back into our public schools, dealing with the trauma that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, and being a student, being 600, 700 students to one guidance counselor.
There's a story.
So the question was, because again, as Joan mentioned, or what she's kind of alluding to is that while she's been a councilwoman for 9 years, what has she really done, right, to address some of these issues? Because the problems have persisted. And they've been there, prior to her now wanting to be a mayoral candidate. But what has she actually done? So Rose asks the question, what have you done, to address these issues? Because again, they've been here before you decided to run for mayor, right? What were you doing in the council? So she says that it's been very difficult for her to try to get things done. She's have been given resistance, whenever she's tried to introduce legislation such as the housing, the slumlord housing registry, or whatever it's called, which took forever to get passed because she wanted to make sure that people were living in safe conditions, right? And the slumlord stuff still persists. I mean, I can show you places, forget it, that are just horrible. You couldn't even imagine living there, but people are actually living there. People are actually living there and have been living in those conditions forever. They still persist. They're still there, and they're not being shut down. Why? Why? You gotta think about that, right? Hope no one's taking money. And so she also then talks about education and the things that she's tried to do to fight for more money, to address complaints that parents have had, like the services that they're not receiving for their children, specifically parents who have children with IEPs. And so she says she's found this very difficult to navigate, through this because she's received a lot of resistance from other people. And that's why she has not addressed or been able to successfully, I guess, address any of these issues in the past. And now she's hoping to do that, right, as the mayor, right?
Imagine coming post a pandemic back into our public schools, dealing with the trauma that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, and being a student, being 600, 700 students to one guidance counselor. How long would that student have to wait to get an appointment with a guidance counselor? That is what our students are up against. That's what I have been fighting against and have advocated for. And I think that new leadership is really what's going to create for new decision making, for new ways to tackle those problems, and to create a new vision on how we solve those challenges that persist in our city.
No, Corazon, this crime.
I agree. We need more. The ratios, the student to staff ratios are not adequate. Guidance counselors, they're not enough. Social workers, they're not enough. Psychologists, they're not enough. Not just because of the pandemic, but the times that we live in. Social media and everything that we're seeing on TV is truly traumatizing. I think we're all being mass traumatized, right? And so we definitely need more in our schools. But how do we get there? $5 million, which is what the city council president said was added in addition to this coming year's school budget, is not enough. That's not enough at all. How do we get there? How do we get more social workers? How do we get more guidance counselors? How do we get your kids the services they need for their IEPs? How do we do that? How? Well, I can tell you one way. You fight hard. You speak out. You let it be known. The minute they're giving you resistance, you say, hey, constituents, I'm trying to do this. They're giving me resistance. This person, that person, this person, they don't care about you because this is what I want to get done, and they don't want to. And you continue to hammer them the same way that Freddie Vasquez has. And by the way, I got those cars removed. No thanks to you, Shanae Williams. That's right. I'm not the council person in that district, but I'm getting it done. Right? As a citizen, as a resident of the city of Yonkers, I helped out this person, Shanae, that came to you. And you didn't do your job because you were volunteering at the Glocks for Ox. So that's how you get it done, right? We're going to fight to get more money by cutting cost, cutting expenses, unnecessary, wasteful spending, such as X, Y, and Z, where we know their cuts can be made. Absolutely. So you need to give logistics. I need to understand the plan. I have yet to hear one council member ever focus on, let alone acknowledge the annual faults of the New York State Comptroller. No, that's not true. Fines without budgets, non-recurring revenue, one-shots, excessive overtime, even bonding for things such as tax, certiorari's, I forget, I can't never say that word, which should be included in the operating budget. His warnings are almost a joke at this point. And Joan, actually, Corazon Pineda Isaac mentioned it in the last budget meeting. She spoke on it. Finally, and I've been mentioning it here on Basement Politics. I've gone through it with you guys before. That's the New York State Comptroller's budget review. They go over the financial statements and the management of the money here in the city of Yonkers. They review everything. They give their key points, key findings, their concerns, and many of the concerns are ongoing. The same concern. No one has addressed this. And this was my issue with Anthony Moranti, right? Because he's the tax guy, he's the accountant, he's the budget guy. And so he, of all people, at the very least, should be speaking out about that. Should be saying, hey, did you guys see what the New York State Comptroller is saying here? And it's very true. I mean, we have a school district to properly fund. We're always saying we don't have enough money. We're always screaming at the state to give us more money. That doesn't seem to work because we're doing it every year. So maybe we ought to also, take heed to this warning that this New York State Comptroller has given us here. Let's not increase our spending when we get one-shot money, funding sources and then add on these recurring expenses that we're not going to be able to fund next year because we're not getting that same money that we got the year before, right? That puts us in debt. So we have to stop doing that. Also with the overtime, right? Corazon, we have to stop going over by $4 and $5 million for almost every department every year. Think about how much money we could be saving and putting that towards the schools, adding more social workers, guidance counselors, adding more activities, programs, funding these, these different things properly, right? Because we can fund it a little bit. Say, oh, we got this money here, we're going to do this, but it's a joke, right? You might as well not even do it because it's a waste of time. They're not going to learn anything really. They're not going to get anything out of it. The most that's accomplished by half-assing it is saying that you did something about it, right? So you can then brag about that. And that's not good enough for us. That's not going to get our kids anywhere. That's not going to properly fund the schools. So we need logistics. And Joan, you're right about that. Absolutely. They think giving food and posing for photos is their sole purpose. Absolutely. And look, I'm not looking to badmouth people. No, I'm not. Like, let's care about the kids, right? Those are the people that, the youth that we want to impact positively. So I made a comment on the Westchester County DA's post where they put up, I'm not going to say the name of the program specifically, but they put up a program there that, is supposed to go into communities and, and stop the gun violence and this, that, and the third. And I said, look, the pictures are great, but the pictures don't serve any other purpose than to show people, you guys, and promote you guys to the people to say, hey, look at us, right? But what is actually being done? Where are the, what's the data saying that, hey, since we've been, doing this, since we've been funding this project, right, or these, these programs, the crime has gone down. The youth, have gone more positive direction. We've seen a big change in our schools, right? The violence is down, but we don't see that. We don't hear that. What they said, they move in silence. And listen, we have to know what's going on because one, we're the taxpayers, right? We're funding this. And two, this is our city. It's impacting us. So what's actually being done? And Corazon talks about this. And Christopher Johnson the other day, right? He was over there in Getty Square doing the boogie woogie to Mace, right? He was shaking it up. And then he says that, hey, when they came to me with this idea, I said, oh, where do I sign up? What do I got to do? First of all, why are you asking, what do you got to do? You're the person that's supposed to get it done. So you should be telling them what to do. But anyway, but he says, I was all in. Right. I was all in because I know that this is going to get the kids off the street. He goes, idle time is what it was, Chris. Idle time is the devil's playground. Right. And so Why aren't you with that same attitude with other individuals that have great ideas, right? That have true, genuine, desires and passion to actually go and do exactly what you're saying. It's like everyone else gets the runaround, but certain individuals don't. You're just all in for certain people, right? So we have to stop playing this game so we can truly make an impact and actually do things for the right reasons, not because we have a relationship with these individuals, right? And then we can go and pose for pictures and pose with these awards. But that's all we see. That's all we see because, as you all know, a 19-year-old boy was killed. On Wednesday night. And that boy, young man, was not a bad kid, a criminal out there in the street, Nobody asked for it, but I'm just saying, it wasn't something that it should have happened to him, right? But it did. It did. So what's going on? That's what I'm saying. What's going on? Where's our money going? The state comptroller has been in office way too long. 12 years is too long. That's true, too. Maybe he needs to get up out of here. They did check out Orange County. Freddie, you posted time and time again, the entities who donate the food will always be there. It is the politicians who take advantage of the generosity of others and take the credit for the giveaways. Absolutely, right? It's funny that this dude, what's his name? Jeffrey Meyer, all the way out in Tampa. I'm not sure what his issue is, why he's so concerned with. You're in Tampa. You're supposed to be out there to retire. That means forget about Yonkers, focus on the beach. But he's still concerned with the food drives here in the city. And he doesn't care that they don't give him credit. He doesn't care that Tasha Diaz never mentions his church, his congregations, the one that he says donates the food. Why don't they get the credit? Is it because they don't want the credit? Is that we're going to say, well, we don't want the credit. All right, so you let Tasha Diaz take all the credit, or you let these other individuals take all the credit, right? But we know what that's about. That's a voter block. That's the food distribution voter block. Those people are going to sign petitions for you. Make sure you keep giving them food, right? Because that's all they really care about. And they know that. And so they take advantage of that, right? They take opportunities of that. So yes, that's what it's all about. A lot of time, it's all about the posturing. That's what I call it, posturing.
Problem for you.
Yes, it is. So, Yonkers, is considered and is said to be one of the safest cities in America, and I don't dispute that. However, there are pockets of the city that do not feel that way for residents. So when we say that, we have to be very careful that we don't alienate the experiences and the feelings that people have in this city, right? For the viewers that watch your program, that are loyal fanatics of Yonkers Boys, loyal fans, they see on a daily basis the different things that you post that are the realities for many people that live in certain neighborhoods. Therefore, I think we have to make sure that we tackle, all those issues delicately and holistically, so that every pocket of our city feels as safe as the city as a whole is. And that is what I am fighting for. To make sure that, Brewster Avenue feels just as safe as Maple Street.
Now, I always
The issue.
So, she's saying that, no, I'm not saying that Yonkers is not the safest big city or it's, the crime is up. What I'm saying is that everyone doesn't feel that way, right? So when we say that, not we, but when they say that, certain individuals, elected officials say that, you have to be careful because there's certain people that don't feel that way. And yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people that don't feel that way. They feel that crime is up. But, and I think Ruvo mentions this, one of the places that people say this often is in her district, District 2, which probably has the highest crime rate in the city. And so what are you doing to address that? And it's been that way for a long time. And so, she just says that we have to pay attention to the people. I guess she's referring to the people in her district who don't feel safe. The people in the Southwest side where we had the shooting of the two teenagers very recently, actually 4 shootings, right? 4 different people got shot in the span of a week on that side in District 1 and in District 3, which is Tasha Diaz's district. And they haven't said anything about it. No one's mentioned it. Not Corazon, she didn't go out there. Tasha Diaz, she didn't go out there. She didn't say anything. They didn't visit with the family. Nothing. Not a word. They kept quiet. And so this is exactly what you are referring to, isn't it, Corazon? That there are people, certain pockets of Yonkers where the people do not feel like this is the safest big city. And understandably so. People in Morris, I'm sure, feel very scared after 2 teenagers were shot right there on that street. So what are you going to do about that, Corazon? And she has criticized the mayor and the other officials for saying that. And so how are we going to fix that? Some people will say, well, Corazon, you know, your district is probably one of the worst, if not the worst. You haven't been able to address that. How do you intend on addressing an entire city's problem? Right? That's a fair criticism to make. Danny, I apologize. I did good. You did absolutely good. Danny set up a program where he worked with the youth. He fed the youth over at the Dayspring Community Center this past Friday, I believe it was. I apologize. I wasn't able to go. Danny, you know, for me, it's difficult after 5 p.m. to do things, because at that point, if I'm not doing something else, like, I'm exhausted, man. And sometimes I just get caught up. But I apologize. Thank you for doing that, Danny. That was excellent of you. You know, I appreciate it. Let me see what's.
Imagine coming post a pandemic back into our public schools, dealing with the trauma that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, and, you know, being a student, being 600, 700 students to one guidance counselor. How long would that student have to wait to get an appointment with the guidance counselor? That is what our students are up against. That's what I have been fighting against and have advocated for. And I think that new leadership is really what's going to create for new decision making, for new ways to tackle those problems, and
For the people of your district to feel safer, have you ever voted to increase police force on your district and in your office? Have you ever voted to have a better law enforcement in the sense of more funds for them to protect our city? If you have, tell us. Because look, the PBA president, Kit Olson, said that you are misinformed, that Yonkers is the largest city in New York State, or one of the largest cities in New York State, and one of the safest city in United States. Who is wrong, you or the Kit Olson?
No, so the first question is, what have I done in my district? I'm gonna answer that because I already pocketed the question. So I agree with you. There are areas in my district that are actually the ones that have the most challenges. Rhode Island Hill, you know, Southwest Yonkers, west side of Yonkers, absolutely have the most challenges, which is why I say I delicately approach the statement, Yonkers is the safest city of the South. I don't dispute the comments. I do believe that Yonkers, agree with that Yonkers is the safest city. What I say that is that that's not everyone's experience. So because I know that Northern Hill, for example, has so many challenges, that's why early on in my tenure, I fought for $1 million to create the Dayspring Community Center. And what did we do? With that $1 million, we created a community center that continues to preserve its organic nature as a church, because it used to be, it's the Presbyterian church it used to be. So parishioners can still worship on Sundays, but at the same time, we have created a basketball court here, computer rooms, after-school services, healthcare services, resume building, a computer lab. All these services that I say are holistic approaches to battling crime. You know, I believe that you know, that community center has probably saved so many lives because it's provided an outlet for young people in the community, for families to have resources. And before that community center was there, you know, that area, that block on Roseland Hill, you know, looked abandoned, looked dilapidated, whereas now it looks like a great investment within our city. And West Half was able to leverage that city funding to then build the Dayspring Commons, to acquire more funding to create an 100% affordable housing unit right next door. Those are the kind of things that I'm looking to do all throughout the city, to make sure that our investments are not only coming to the waterfront, but they're coming to the neighborhoods that really need them and really deserve those investments. And so that developers can look at a place like Rhode Island Hill and see Dayspring Community Center, see Dayspring Commons, and say, oh, this is an area that we could invest in as well. And that's what I'm looking to really create a shift in, to show people that Yonkers is more than just the waterfront properties. It is different pockets of the neighborhood that deserve investments, that deserve resources, that deserve an influx of money, so that all the residents can feel the improvements of our city. Yes.
You know, for one, I love the use of the term holistic approach, right? It's when you focus on the environment, environmental sciences and ecology. So everything is with this holistic approach. Holistic approach. I don't know who's suffering more, the people of No Dine Hill or the environment over there in No Dine Hill. I think it's both, I guess. The environment is crappy, but I don't think it has anything to do with toxic, chemicals or, CO2 emissions. I think it has to do with the quality of life that the people are experiencing there. I mean, you just go up Elm Street. Just go up Elm Street. And you can see it. It's in your face. It'll smack you, from the prostitutes to the migrants sleeping over there by the food town to the people buying drugs. You can see it. The liquor store open up 24 hours pretty much there. The abandos or abandoned buildings where homeless people who are on drugs sleeping, halfway boarded up, creating a safety concern, as there are many children who live in the area and get off the school buses there every day after school. Nothing has changed. I know the area well. I go through that area a lot. Nothing has changed. And so, Corazon, I'm speaking to you, as a friend, as they say, right? Genuinely, you have to, see what or understand what people will think. I mean, your district has not really improved, and yet you're asking the people of the city of Yonkers to vote you as mayor. I mean, someone may say, well, if we do that, will the entire city look like District 2? And that's a legitimate concern. And so what have you done is the question posed by Mr. YV. And her response is the same response. It's the same response. And maybe because I've watched many of your interviews and I follow politics closely, memorize this stuff, right? But you talk about the Dayspring Community Center and the $1 million that you fought for it to get this Dayspring Community Center open. Again, great. We need community centers, but it's not just about having a building built. It's not just about spending money. It's not. You have to have more of an investment, and that investment includes emotional, mental, physical investment. People who care, who are passionate, who are going to be in there and pull the kids in, pull those that are most at risk. Sure, you're going to get kids in there, the ones who are going to stay pretty much, in an area where they're never going to, probably end up in jail or dead, thank God. But where will they, how far will they go in life, right? The ones that may end up in debt or in jail, they're not the ones that are going to the community centers. Those are the ones that have to definitely be pulled in. And so how are we reaching those kids? The ones that are running up to cars and shooting 2 teenagers without hesitation. How are we pulling those kids in so we can then truly make an impact on the youth crime, the youth offensive here in the city of Yonkers? And this goes for everybody, because Shanae too, you're opening up, or I say you and your boyfriend got the 6th Film Academy because you're supposed to be, replacing the guns in kids' hands with film cameras. But how are you going to engage them? How are you going to reach them? Are all of them interested in film? Right? There's more to it than just creating these fancy looking things to show people. There's a lot of work that goes involved. I bet you in my smaller spot, I can get a lot more kids in because of the way we're going to approach it. And that's the difference. You can't just throw money. And that had mostly to do with that affordable housing development that they built there, West Hab. So West Hab put money there to do this community center so they then could build their affordable housing. And so they then continue to enrich themselves. If this was solely for the purpose of the youth and reducing crime and improving the area, then we would see that happening. And while, yes, we see activities going on in there, it's just not enough. It's not enough. You're not reaching the ones that are at risk. And some people say, because you know what, it's easier just to get the kids that are less likely to get in trouble and make it look like you're doing what you say you're supposed to be doing. But a lot of these programs are supposed to be reaching those that are at risk, gang members. The ones that are carrying the guns, the ones that are throwing up the gang signs, the ones that are considering whether or not they're going to jump the ops. Those are the guys we got to see. Those are the ones we need to get in. And, so the government can't do it all. Where are some of these parents? I agree. No, I definitely agree. Some of these kids don't care about their own lives. They don't care who take them out. I agree. And this is why I say where you need more. Joan, you have to understand, and as someone that's from that environment, I can speak on it very well. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't have their parents there. That's the way it is. Dad is probably not around. Most likely it's a mom, maybe grandparents. And so unfortunately, you don't have that proper guidance. And no, it's not the state, it's not the elected officials' primary responsibility to raise people's kids. It is the parents, the people that bring them into this world. You are responsible for your kid first. Absolutely. I agree. But unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world. And so we have a lot of kids that are out there because their parents are either not around or are around but are occupied with other things, maybe drugs, maybe a boyfriend, which we hear this story a lot. Because the parents themselves have never fully matured and developed. They themselves are kids who had kids, and now you have a cycle. It's not just of poverty. And this is why we need people who understand this to go in and reach these kids, because they need someone to guide them. Unfortunately, Joe, not everyone has, a lot don't. And so we need people who understand this. And this is why I said with my center, first and foremost, what we want to do is get to know the kids, get to, get into them and gain their trust. Show them that we genuinely care and that, we love and care for them and that we want to see them do well. And no, we're not their parent, because again, as I mentioned in past podcasts, a lot of the anger that these kids have is, especially those who are in gangs and are willing to go and shoot somebody or go and commit these violent crimes, because they have a lot of anger that's coming from home, from the fact that their dad is not there. Their dad is locked up. They can't see their dad. They can't hug their dad. And, there are times when they're just reminded of that, like Father's Day. Maybe there's a Parents' Day at the school. Bring your daddy to, your daddy and daughter dance, or, something like that. Or, you get in trouble and your mom is supposed to come, but your mom doesn't show up. Someone else does. Maybe no one does. I've seen this a lot of times. I've come into school for kids on behalf of the parent. I've done this many times, actually. I want to say many times, but at least 3 or 4 times. And that's many. That's too much, right? Because the parent was not there. Or because the parent just could not understand what the meeting was about, what was going to be said in the meeting, whether it be a language issue, an education issue. And I've stepped in and met with principals and met with administrators. And this is the reality of the communities that I'm speaking of. And so we need people who understand this in order to make the impact, because that's what we have to first get through. You can't just throw a book in their face and say, hey, read and learn. You can't just, say, hey, here's a career program, pick a program and pick a career and get to it. You can't just do that. Right? You just cannot. It's just not that easy. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of complexities there that we have to deal with, a lot of variables, right? And so we have to understand that. We have to understand what they're going through. And then we have to devise a strategy on how to engage them and build that trust. And that takes time. But over that course of that time, we do that, then we get them to come in. And then when we say, hey, what you're doing is not, it's not good. It's going to get you, dead or in jail. They're going to listen more. They're going to be willing to take that in a lot more than if you have them come in the first time you meet them, hey, in the first week, and then you just, oh, man, don't do that, man. Come on in, right? It's not going to work that way. You're not going to see these kids again. So we have to really engage these kids and not to go off that, but I really care about that, man. That's a big thing for me. And I can't wait till we start to really grow this so we could show the city of Yonkers what we mean, what impact we're going to make, right? Because we have to show these kids, we love you. We want you to be successful. We don't want you to die. We don't want you to be in jail. We care for you. So that's what we have to tell them. These council members should think outside the box 1,000%. 1,000% in everything that they do, right? Outside the box, be creative, find the money, figure it out. Let's get it done. That's what makes you great, right? And have community meetings with the kids, right? But that takes time. That takes effort. And that is something they don't want to give up. Use the Castle Royale where they like to have fundraisers. Yeah, I like to see that, right? Yeah, right. But hey, listen, we could do that. I would love it. I would definitely love it.
So I have voted on budgets that he has proposed because there were things in the budget that I had advocated for my constituents. So if there was a budget that, I fought for certain things, I voted for that budget. But there were times where when I didn't feel that I did enough, I voted against it.
If people are out there and say, who should I give my vote? Is it Corazon, is the current mayor, or another candidate? What sets you apart? Why should they vote for you? Let's say this is the time. This is the time you difference between you, Corazon, and the other candidates. You don't
look. We are at a pivotal point in our city where we have to think about where are we and what practices have we put in place, right? And I think that for a long time now, we have tackled issues using the same policies over and over again. I think that change is great because it brings a different perspective, a different lens, a different set of experiences. And I think that that's what I bring. I think that as an Afro-Latina woman, as a woman, person of color, there are experiences that I have faced, there are challenges that I have faced that will help me translate those challenges into policy decisions. And I think those are the things that we, as a city, can use. For example, I think the city should be creating a robust minority and women business owned program and database where we are identifying MWBEs, minority and women owned businesses, and we are creating a database that we can provide to contractors, to developers, to residents, so contractors can, when we tell them, please use MWBEs of our city, they can't say to us, well, I tried, I can't find any. If we have a database that we created, we say, look, we have MWBE painters, we have MWBE contractors and architects that live in our city, that have business in our city, we can provide opportunities for those that are in our city to also provide
Look, I don't know. I mean, Corazon, again, technically the city is supposed to give 20% of all its contracts that it puts out for bids to minority-owned businesses. That's already a law that's there. 20% of all contracts that the city puts out for bidding must go to a minority-owned business. So, they can do that technically. If you want to do this, I guess, I don't see how this is going to improve anything for anyone. That can always be cheated, right? We all know how they, bypass these things. It doesn't matter. Like, Corazon, you need to be tackling the important issues. Education, let's talk about that. Give specifics. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to find the money that they say we don't have in order to improve the education system? We need to bring it to a higher standard, higher quality. We need to ASAP, right? So what are you going to do? We need the details of that, right? Where are you going to find the money? Where are you going to cut the spending? Okay. We also need to know, what are you going to do in terms of the developments and affordable housing? There's a housing crisis in the city of Yonkers. The developments, the luxury developments, are causing the rents to go up for everybody. They're causing the cost of living to go up for everybody. What are you going to do to slow that down? What are you going to do to at least get something out of these developers who are receiving huge tax breaks? They could be giving us money for the schools. They could be giving us money to improve the infrastructure. Instead, they're destroying the infrastructure. We need the details, the logistics. Creating this thing for minority women, that's so over here. The people are concerned with jobs. How are you going to get jobs? These developments were promised to bring jobs. They have not. And in fact, more and more jobs are actually leaving Yonkers as businesses are closing to make way for only one industry, it seems, that will be here. And that's the movie industry, which is why Shanae's looking to take advantage, right, with sick films. They're not bringing jobs either. That's what the people need. The people that are getting pushed out, even in Nodine Hill. You're right. Crime in certain areas is up, specifically in your district. What are we going to do to tackle the gun violence, the violence in general, the overdose problem that we have with fentanyl? There's a huge drug problem. You had to see this chick in the store this morning as I was getting my empanadillas, is that what they say? Empanadas over on Yonkers Ave. Oh my goodness. She's young, probably by 15 years, younger than me, wobbling, could barely stand up. Like, what is wrong with this girl? How can you go through life looking like that and not cry for help? But we see this a lot here in the city of Yonkers. So what are you going to do? That's what people are concerned about. The traffic, the congestion, the roads. Taxes have gone up. How will you keep taxes from going up even further once you become mayor and also provide enough money for the schools? This is what we need to be talking about. I'm not sure about all this other stuff here. I'm not sure.
In Yonkers that serve solely as senior centers. Right now, if you visit the Nodine Community Center, there is a senior knitting club happening. That is fantastic. That is great. Our seniors should deserve and should continue to use these services. In addition to that, though, we should be opening our city community centers to our youth, to our nonprofits. We know that seniors usually use these centers from 10 to 3, 10 to 4. So why are they closed at 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m.? Why have we not invested to staff these issues, to staff these senior centers with support so that our nonprofits can use them, so the young people can use them? And that is why, it's because we haven't shifted to see the different ways in which we can implement policies that really benefit the changing communities that are in our city. And that's what makes them different. It's a different.
No, but that's been always the issue, and I agree with that. We need to open up the community centers. And they used to do this. They used to open up the schools, right? For basketball nights. We used to go there on Warburn and School 25. No, I'm sorry, not School 25. What's that? What school is that over there? Is it School 25 on Warburn by now it's Riverside? We used to go in there to play basketball. And they don't do that. They need to do that. You're absolutely right. But now you're saying this. Where was this before? We didn't hear any of this. It was all crickets. Right. And yes, we do. I agree with you there. I'm not going to say anything else negative. I'm just saying, make sure you fight hard. You should be fighting for that now in meetings. All this waterfront development has not helped the Yonkers City budget at all. If anything, it has hurt us via tax breaks, free IDA money. If the buyers of these properties paid their fair share, we would be in much better shape. 1,000%. The tax breaks that they received, hundreds of millions of dollars. Think about that money and what it could have done to improve our schools. Instead, it went to giving these developers tax breaks so they can build their developments, bring in renters who are not paying property taxes, but they're going to utilize city services, infrastructure, and everything else, right? And so that's true. That has not improved the budget at all. We're still carrying close to $3 billion in debt. The city properties that were sold off did not improve that at all. Didn't do much at all, right? It hasn't done anything. Yeah, and then they name a park after one of the developers. Is a joke. That's right, Ginsburg over there down on Warburg, and then they bought the park, which I didn't think that was a good purchase. We could use that money for school. Let's hear what she has to say about nepotism.
Without influence, without any conflict of interest, and that is something that I think a lot of people don't feel we currently have. I don't know the amount of jobs that the current administration has within family members and friends, but there's definitely plenty. That's something for us to explore and to look at and to really think about. If we say there aren't enough money for our schools, there aren't enough money for certain programs, we can't say that while also spending X amount of dollars on salaries for friends and families. That's something very interesting to explore. We definitely have to make sure that we do our due diligence to ensure that people are held accountable for their hiring practices, to make sure that there are open hiring practices so that people feel that they have access to city jobs. There are many residents that say, have said to me that, they don't feel like the city jobs are accessible to them. Unless you know someone, unless you are well connected, people don't feel like they have access to city government jobs. It should not be that way. We should be opening our hiring practices in a way that people feel that they truly have an opportunity. Not just it's a listing on the website just because, but instead, a way that people really feel like if they apply for the job, they really have a fair chance of acquiring our city job. That is how we're going to diversify our workforce. That is how we're going to provide more access to local jobs for individuals. Everybody wants to work close to where they live. So if there are opportunities within city government, we really should be making a real effort to employ the residents of the city of Yonkers. Have we done that? I don't believe that we have. I believe that the current administration has used the city purse for the benefit of the Friends and Family Network. So we have to really investigate that and figure out how do we best tackle those issues to make sure that they do not continue. As mayor, I do not support using the city's workforce as my personal job opportunity for my Friends and Family Network. I do not. And that's not a practice that I will embark on. I will make sure that the hiring practices are fair, that they are open to everyone, and that people have true opportunities to work in our city. Do I have a person that works for the
Yes.
a family member? I do.
Yep.
So my sister works for the Department of Revenue Services, and even though that she works for the city, that has never faltered my decision making. So even though my sister worked for the city, that has never took part of my decision making when I had to vote against term limits 2 times. It didn't take part of my decision making when I voted against budget, because if my sister's job is on the chopping block because of my decision making, that is a decision that we were comfortable with. Because my role as a city council elected is to serve the people. And no decision, no job, no person in government is going to ever falter this, going to ever change that or put that at risk.
Does your mother work for the city of Yonkers?
She does not. She works for the Yonkers Public Schools, and she's been.
So yes, her mother works for the Yonkers Public Schools. Her sister did work for the city, and so no longer working for the city. I agree. I agree with I agree with what she said here. I totally agree. However, I go back to is that this is nothing new, right? This is nothing that we didn't already know about, and now she's bringing it up. She said that the mayors use the city workforce to supply his entire family with jobs. She's not sure how many Spano family members have jobs, although there's been articles that have come out that has said to be from the Pineda camp at the New York Post and Low HUD that was stating about 14, 15, maybe even more Spano family members working. She had her sister, her mother said works for the Yonkers Public School. She says her mom's been working there before she got the job. And it's never had an impact or influence her decision making when it came to voting at city council meetings. And I don't know. Listen, I can't say whether that's true or not. I'm not Corazon Pineda Isaac, but we have to also understand that her sister was given the job, right? And so did that come with some strings attached where, there are things that maybe she may have had to have done in order to, kind of secure that position for her sister, right? And, that's something that people are always going to have, be questioning. People say that she is part of the system, the nepotism, the family and friends system, that she's been supporting the Spanos up until she wasn't supporting the Spanos and wanted to be the mayoral or the next mayor of the city of Yonkers. And so that is going to be her biggest challenge, right? Getting over that hurdle where people are saying, look, what makes you different? You've been there for 9 years. You've voted pretty much along with the mayor and the administration. You've never, said anything sort of the likes of what you're saying now. You've never really had any strong opposition. There have been times when you voted against things, but they were passing anyway. And, you know, some people thought that that was just a game that she was playing, right? And really, she was just doing that to just, you know, pretend and such, act like she's really fighting for her constituents. You know, there's been times when she supported Republicans, right, and not the Democrats, or, you know, sided with the Republicans. She supported John Rubel in becoming the chair of the real estate committee. He was a Republican at the time that this happened, and although, you know, Corazon has been known to be bipartisan, I guess she's now, you know, messing with the Republicans. You see, she wrote an editorial in the Low HUD with Moranti in regards to the what was it, the nepotism, I believe, stuff like that. You know, oh no, the lobbying firm, the Empire Strategic Planning. So they've been working together also to put the term limits back on the ballot. But there was a time when Corazon didn't, you know, seem to see things this way, right? And that's going to be her biggest, you know, challenge, I think, in convincing people that she truly is the person that's going to be the best candidate for mayor, and that she really means what she says. That's going to be the challenge. Is she being genuine, or is it now that she wants to become the mayor? She's just telling you this. And this is why I say it's important, Corazon, to have details. Give us the logistics. How are you going to get this stuff done? Because they just sound like talking points, right? And we all knew this already. You never mentioned it before. You never stood up and said, hey, all these developers that are coming in here, you know, they're attached to the mayor somehow, or, you know, all these developments that are going up, they're not, you know, considering the affordable housing needs of the city. They're buying up property, you know, left and right, city property, but we're not getting, you know, proper payment, market rate, or, you know, for these properties. Nothing, none of this was said. Nothing in regards to the term limit. You know, another thing too, when Lakeisha Collins Bellamy introduced the term limit extension, the legislation to do that, people were asking, is this going to happen? Is this going to be? None of the council members said anything. No one spoke on it, right? Not until it happened. And then they spoke on it. And I have to, believe that Corazon knew about it, right? And everyone knew that this was going to be coming, and be presented in a meeting, right? They had to have known that, right? So, she should have been, I believe she should have been fighting this and saying, hey, listen, this is what might happen. I want my constituent, all those who oppose this, to start, getting ready, start, reaching out to the city council president, your council person, and whoever, and say, this is not what you want. But that wasn't done, right? It wasn't done. And also with the map redistricting and stuff like that, the people, which is one of the biggest complaints they had, was not having advance notice on things, not being given enough notice or being made aware of things that are happening until they've already happened. And so it would have been nice to let people know. That shows you're being genuine. And hey, this is going to be happening, folks. Let's start fighting it. We got to speak up now, right? And so Empire City, MGM Grand, Ridge Hill, Monarch Apartment, et cetera, all this and other projects, and Yonkers still can't fix schools or add more police officers to the department. I mean, they've recently added a few police officers. I don't know how many. What's the name? One of the Nolan brothers became a police officer, right? Recently, I forget which one. She voted against the first overturning of term limits, but she still ran for that third term anyway. Yeah, so that was something that people have questioned her about. You voted against the third term limit extension, but then when the opportunity presented itself, you ran for re-election, took advantage of it. And I guess it's like, well, I voted against it. It passed, so I it's there, right? Well, I'm going to run for re-election now because the opportunity is there. So I can't knock her all the way for that. What I am saying is that this fourth term extension, I'm sure she knew about it. We should have been given more notice. She should have been out there really opposing it. And Moranti, right? Both of them. They should have been out there opposing this before Lakeisha Collins Bellamy introduced the legislation and got ahead of it, but that wasn't the case.
And we have been talking about it for years. Yet term limits, though, can pass within a matter of a month. So what is more important, extending term limits or creating affordable housing for our residents? Yonkers was you guys tell me the answer.
Guys, don't forget.
So yeah, and so she's making the point there that they quickly introduced the term limit extension legislation. They had these meetings on it. They voted. They got it passed. 10 days, right? It was about 10 days. Yet and still, here we are, 2023. We had another Puerto Rican Day parade, which I thought was June 24th. I don't know why. It was June 4th. And it was introduced back in 2021, the 20% increase, the new affordable housing ordinance. It was passed. Then the mayor vetoed it. Then the council members didn't override the veto. Tasha Diaz, she did the flip-flop. And here we are, still with nothing. They all said Shanae Williams, who was supporting it, I'm for affordable housing. I'm for affordable housing. Nothing. They all said we're going to go back and rework it. Tasha Diaz, she was criticizing Moranti because he was saying how he didn't have an opportunity to be at the meetings, right, for the budget. And that wasn't right, that they left him out. And Tasha said, well, you should have been there. You should have made sure that you had a seat at the table. But back in the housing ordinance, when she decided to change her vote, one of the reasons she gave was because she didn't have a seat at the table. She wasn't there. She didn't give her input, which is a bunch of BS, because from day one, Tasha was supporting it. Tasha was team Mike Cater and Shanae. They were the three council members who were supporting the 20% affordable housing increase from day one. And it wasn't Shanae Williams who authored it. That was Mike Cater. She, did something to it. And then they introduced it through Shanae Williams because she was a Black woman. It was the year of identity politics, right? And I just want to mention that before I forget, Corazon, stop with the Afro-Latina. Stop with the Afro-Latina, because you're going to isolate a lot of people. You're going to, turn people off. This is not about race. This is about, the city of Yonkers and the issues that we have that need to be addressed. The same issues we've had for the entire 9 years. You've been a council member, right, that need to be addressed. And they're not unique to any one race. Maybe one race may be impacted more than the other, such as the quality of the schools, because, it's largely minority, largely Hispanic and Black, right? And so we definitely want to see the schools improve, but it also impacts, Ukrainians, Latino, who else? Just whites of all nationalities, right? Italians, Irish as well. So we need to, stop with that, because that identity politics it got us nowhere, and it turns people off. So, that's not going to give you that much of a unique perspective. Maybe some more empathy towards a certain group, right? Maybe more empathy to Hispanics and African Americans, and maybe more empathy for people of certain communities, because that's where you're from. But it's not going to give you, a better, insight. Really, because I guess you can, but anyone who's willing to learn can go in there. Because my wife didn't grow up like I did. She grew up upper middle class, and she does an amazing job with, kids that come from some of the poorest communities, because she gets to know them. She gets the insight by being genuine, by, understanding the kids and listening to them. So, anyone can do that, right? Anyone can do that if they truly care. It doesn't matter what color you are. So don't do that, because I think you're going to turn people off as far as that's concerned. And and that's it. What else you say there?
Yonkers was you guys tell me the answer. Extending term limits or creating affordable housing?
Right. And also she said that, she was for the 20%, but that's not true, Corazon. So I don't want you to get caught up in that, because I remember there was a time when you pretty much, like the, index here, like we see mutual funds and stuff that follow the index, you were like that in lockstep with Mike Spano in terms of the percentage that you were willing to be in favor of. And it wasn't 20%. You were saying 15%, which is what the mayor was saying. So you, again, were pretty much in lockstep with Mayor Mike Spano when it came to the affordable housing. You weren't one of the original three, right? The affordable housing three, right? Shanae, Tasha, and Mike Cater. And so, yes, you ended up voting yes for it when you guys went up to vote and got it passed, but you weren't really all the way 100% champion for it. And I think that you need to make that clear because people may get you on that, right? But you do make a great point that we're still waiting for that to get introduced, a new one, and get passed. Here we are, still nothing. That's very important. That's a lot more important than extending term limits. Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, City Council President. A lot of people being impacted by the need for affordable housing are African American. You grew up in low-income housing, cottage. You should have that empathy, not insight, right? Because my wife also knows, she grew up upper middle class, but she knows the need, right? But you should have empathy the most because you grew up in cottage, and there are a lot of people that don't, have an affordable place to live and are having to be homeless, right? If not, have to move out of state to find some place. And really quick, folks, I'm hearing that people are being forced to sell their homes. One individual down in your area, Lakeisha, again, it's Northwest Yonkers, down over there in Warburton. They saw their home on a flyer that was created by a realtor for sale, but his home is not for sale. I'm waiting to get a copy of that flyer and get more verification on that. But this is true. This is crazy. But I would believe it because I know that they are forcing people to sell. They have their ways. And they're buying properties off people below market value, below what they should be getting. And a lot of them are minorities over there in the Northwest, Southwest side. Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, Shanae Williams. That's your district. And your boss, Lakeisha, by the way, Wilson Kimball, I just found out she's the developer who rebuilt up Mulford Garden. Ask her, where did the 400 people, or I should say 400, all the people, I should say, because it could be more, all the people that lived in those 400 units that never came back. They tore down Mulford Gardens, had 500 units. They came back with just a little over 100 units. So where did those people go that lived in those 400 other units or less than 400 other units? Ask Wilson. Can you ask Wilson for me and just let me know next time I see you? I'm just curious. Did she relocate them? Did she pay for their relocation? Where did they go? Right? Because they knock them down, they don't come back with the same number. But it doesn't make sense when we need as many affordable and low-income housing as possible. So we shouldn't be reducing the number. We should be increasing the number, Lakeisha. I'm just letting you know that's your boss. Ask her when you get to work tomorrow, whatever, whenever you get there. Whenever you get there, just mess with you. Yeah, so much going on Warburton Corridor. Maybe pushing people out of smaller homes to build more towers. That's right. Why do you think they're building those senior centers? They want to get everybody out. John Rubel is saying, hey, he was asking those questions. Could we do this with seniors or that with seniors and get them out of their homes? And this, he wants to buy their houses, right? All the old folks out there who still own their home. John Rubel wants you to sell so his developer friends could buy them up and then give them a kickback through, what is that called, John? Tell me the name of your company again, John. Perfect Solution, John Rubel. Buffalo PD is over 750. Rochester is over 650. Yonkers is close to 600. All this new development and new families relocating. Shouldn't we have a lot more cops on the street? After all, we are now the third largest city. I agree with that. Listen, you know why I agree with that? That we need more cops? Because I'm seeing a lot more shit happening out here, man. Like the quality of the city. I thought the developments were supposed to make this, like more upscale, right? But I go down to the waterfront, man. That's not good. I mean, it seems like it's getting worse. Like you should have seen the woman that I saw in front of the store. Like, oh my God. She has scabs all over her face and body. She was wearing flip-flops and her toes just. I can't. And then you got the guy over there by Wells Fargo. Everybody see that guy if you go to Wells Fargo over there in Getty Square in the wheelchair? I mean, he is the most aggressive panhandler I ever seen. He's missing fingers. And he's like, hey, come on, $1. He called me Benz. Hey, Benz, yo, Benz, what up? I got you. I'll watch your car. He tells me he's going to watch my car for me. I said, dude, what are you going to do? You can't even, you can't move fast enough, right? I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying. But the guy hustles. So, I've got to know him as I go there, and I don't give him any money because I already know what's up with him. So he knows that I know what's up. So he doesn't even ask me. And he told me that he could probably make about $300 a day. $300 a day. And he must be making good money because he bought himself new legs. He's got the titanium joints now. He didn't have any legs before, right? But he's got them now. And so you see this all throughout the city. The panhandling has gotten worse. The people addicted to drugs, you can just see them. You know that they're on drugs. You see them, right? And it's throughout the waterfront and all that. The double parked cars, the triple parked cars, the taxis from New York, right? It's getting crazy. And then, Corazon, one thing I don't like, you want to introduce that New York City speed limit, 25 miles an hour. No. They did that in New York City, and they got a lot of people tickets the first month because they didn't realize it. And that's right after they set up the speed camera. So that's a trap. That's a trap right there. But I agree, John, we do need more cops. We need to get the cops to move the panhandlers along. Listen, I feel for you, but you're kind of not making things look good out here. I'm just saying. I mean, come on. Especially you, wheelchair guy. You're harassing people, dude. You're like, yo, come on, $1. Like he gets mad at them if they don't give him any money. And that's not okay. People are getting upset. He's right in front of the bank. He's got to go, right? And the homeless, I mean, a long shop right over there on Riverdale. I mean, they had like a little homeless encampment there, right? And they just have clothes there, and they were just going through clothes. And I guess, and I've seen more people at the clothing drops, those donation boxes that they leave, out in parking lots and stuff. And people are going in, like they're going shopping in there almost, like they're going in there. And I'm noticing this a lot more. And they're, sizing things up to see if it's for them. And then they're taking it. And I'm seeing like couples, and groups of friends doing this. It's getting bad. Like, it's getting bad. I don't know what's going on. Maybe is it just me, but it seems like it's a lot more. Voters have different priorities that determine who get their votes. But for city employees who are tired of showing up to a workplace that's gripped by a culture of fear and intimidation, the decision to elect a new mayor should be one of the easiest they'll ever make. Yeah, I mean, is it enough, right? Is it enough? And this is the thing, and this is what I'm saying to Corazon, why I'm going over her interview. Just try to, I'm not trying to be negative to you. I'm just giving it to you real. So maybe you can think about these things. Prepare also. You gotta be on point with what you're saying. You cannot repeat yourself and look like you're thinking about what to say. When you're passionate about something, when you know the issue, when you know it well, when you care about it, and you're trying to really understand it, and you understand it, you will speak on it with no problem. You will speak on it effectively with passion and will make an impact. So understand the issue. That's what I'm saying. You talk about we need this, we need more social workers, we need more guidance counselors. I agree. We need more arts, music, this, that, and the third. I agree. How do we get there? Where's the money going to come from? I'm not saying we can't find the money. I'm asking you, how will we find the money? Right? How will you do that? Say, listen, when I become mayor, all this, X, Y, and Z stuff is going to end. We're going to save money here. I project that we could save about $1 million here, another $500,000 there, $2 million there. So far, I'm saving us about $10 million, right, from unnecessary spending. These are the positions that I'm going to eliminate, and this is why. You ready to rock and roll with me? Vote for me for mayor this June 27th, right? You got to hit them hard. You got to you just got to forget it. It's just, you don't have to be a genius to figure out what make a city better place to live, work, and play. The answer is investing in schools and police department. Why police department? When you invest in schools, you don't need to invest in police departments because you have more people succeeding, more people staying in that community who are successful, making higher incomes, less crime, right? Like Scarsdale, right? And Bronxville and places like that. I know they're small, I get that. But, you reduce crime by, what is it? Why, especially now, what's the crimes really a lot about, right? It's a lot of theft, store theft. People are in a state of desperation. A lot of people addicted to drugs, so they have to steal to feed that habit, right? Not even feed themselves, but feed that habit. And that's an issue. So we tackle the drug problem, right? And that's a whole nother thing. I don't think enough Yonkers police officers would be able to tackle that problem because that's a whole nother thing. But, I know people love the police. We love the police. We always want to say more police, give them more money, give them this, that, and the third. Shout out to the Yonkers police. Shout out to the motorcycle guys. I agree. Listen, I love the police. We definitely need to be safe and stuff, but nobody's, immune from, finding ways to, cut back on spending, right? And we must, be practical in what we do, right? We can't be emotional about it. We have to be sensible, right? And make rational decisions that make sense. So that way we can kind of balance this out where we have the money for schools and we also keep the taxes low, as well as have enough, police, fire, and school staff, right, to make sure that we are providing the highest quality of services to the people of the city of Yonkers. That's not easy. I understand that. It's not an easy thing. However, there are a lot of things that could be done, as you say, John, that are not so difficult, that are in your face, that are obvious, that are not being done, that make people question the integrity of our elected officials, right? So that's the problem there. Voter apathy, voter apathy and distrust is rampant. Friends, family, and family vote. There is your election. That's right. We need more people to come out and vote. But, it's just, we'll see. Police is just as important. We need cops back in the schools. Their project is very important. A lot of specialized units got disbanded. Our cops are doing a good job with the resources given, but they need a lot more. Definitely, but and specifically what? Like we need, and I know you say we have the DARE project and stuff, but I like to see the data, right? So what was the results of this DARE project, right? What else do we need specifically, right? What areas need, like we need to figure out what's going on with this fentanyl issue, right? Where is this fake fentanyl and fentanyl coming from? So we need to maybe put some money into investigation, drug investigation, and tackle that, right? We need to, there's, look, John, I see people, in Getty Square, right? Selling the drugs right there. Heroin. I'm listening. I have a barbershop there. I go there. I'm listening to the guys. I pull up to the barbershop once, and he's telling another guy to go get more heroin. They need because they ran out. They're selling it right there. So that has to end. So we have to. So what is it that we need more police for? Let's not just add more police. Okay, just add more police. Here you go. We have to be specific, right? It has to, have a strategy and doing it, right? So that way we know that we're spending money because we're, going to get a return on that investment, right? If we spend we get 2 more police officers, let's say, we know that we're going to put them there and we're going to then reduce this. That's the reason. Not just to say that we need more. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? And I hear that a lot from our elected officials. If we had a steady detail in Getty Square as we have, we wouldn't see. You're right. No, that's what I mean. So this is what they need to say, but they don't say that, right? They throw out these what do you call it? Just these talking points, but they know if they were to get specific on those talking points, they probably would make themselves look bad because ultimately they will. The blame would go back to me. Oh, maybe if I was doing my job, yeah, maybe they would have more money. Oh, maybe if I was doing my job, maybe there would be less crime, right? It's kind of like that, right? That's why they don't give you the details, because the details will show them to be useless.
Projects that came to the city of Yonkers, all these projects that we see at the waterfront and other places, have you ever voted no on any one of them?
So when I started my comment, I said I'm not anti-development. I'm just saying that we need a economic development strategy that works for the people. That is why I supported a 20% ordinance that would have brought 20% of units as affordable to all the development that is happening in our city. That is why I support IDA reform to make sure that those getting IDA benefits, there are practices and policies in place to make sure that they're providing the best services, the best local job opportunities for the people that live in the city. So, and furthermore, I said, it's about creating opportunities, not just at the waterfront, but, at all different levels of different areas of our city. So that's why I started the sentence saying, I'm not anti-development. I just think that our economic development strategy has to shift so that it's not solely focused on the waterfront, and have a leader in place that is going to market the city as a whole, to show other areas of our city that need investment, that can use investment, and that are good investments to make.
So your answer is yes or no? Have you ever voted against?
I can't remember. There are projects that I haven't voted for, but I just can't remember exactly, I've been on the council for 9 years. But yes, I have voted for many of the waterfront developments that are on the waterfront. But again, also fought for those developments who have 20% of the units to be set aside as affordable.
Okay, this is the
So
problem.
it's about a balance.
This is the problem, Corazon, that people are talking about. Yes, we never voted against.
But see, somebody like me, right? I'm gonna say this to you, Corazon. If I was in a debate with you, I'd say you voted for the projects, but then you say, well, but I also supported 20%, but you didn't get the 20% passed. You didn't get that done. But the projects are done. The developers got what they wanted, but the people didn't. So you were able to get the developers their needs met, but the people didn't get theirs. The people that voted for you didn't get what they needed. The people that depended on you didn't get what they needed. And so it doesn't matter if you supported 20%. That was how long ago? 2 years or more now? Nothing was done, no new ordinance. But the developers got what they wanted. They got their projects developed. They got the city land and they got the tax breaks. You said you want to create reform in the IDA. Well, at this point, by the time that happens, it will be too late. The developers will be done and they will be out of Yonkers with their tax breaks. This had to have been done a lot earlier in your tenure as council member. When you were deciding whether or not you were going to vote for these projects, that's when you should have been thinking about this and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to vote for any of these projects unless they provide money to the schools, and that has to be guaranteed. They have to build new schools for us. That's guaranteed. You have to make sure that any roads that are damaged, because Con Edison is installing new gas lines or whatever else, fiber optics for the development that you're going to build, are left impeccable, perfect. Not one nick on it when you're done, right? And you're going to make sure that you have at least 15% affordable housing units in your development. That's it. Otherwise, I'm not voting for any of the projects. And that's what I would have said. 1,000%. 1,000%. But you didn't do that. You went forward with them without getting anything for the people. No jobs. Now you want to introduce reform, and the reform that she's talking about would get back money from the developers who got tax breaks and didn't meet the requirements, which is to provide jobs for the local workforce. But we're seeing people coming from Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and elsewhere, not Yonkers, even across the border, but not Yonkers. And so that's not happening. So are we getting our money back? No. By the time you introduce that legislation, if it passes, will it matter? Probably not. And so this should have been done before. I can't imagine that you as a council person didn't know about all these developments 8 years ago. And so you should have thought about this. And now it's too late. And this is where you're going to struggle. Because anyone that, smart is going to say this about you. They're going to say, listen, now you want to say all these great things, these talking points, but you should have gotten them accomplished many years ago. Now you want to try and do it, but how are you going to do this? How are you going to get more money? Where's the logistics? Tell me the details. Where are you going to find the money? Where are you going to make the cuts? The developments, you voted for all of them. They didn't give us any more than what the old housing ordinance required them to do, and they're building away. So what are you going to do as mayor, if you win, to change that? To give more unaffordable housing? Will you actually get it passed, and how? You're going to have a council that's not going to always work with you. In fact, they're going to have some animosity towards you now. So how are you going to do this? And that scares people. because they don't have faith. They don't have faith that it can get done, and they see your past track record, and that's the biggest hurdle you're gonna have to get over, Corazon. And I think if you approach it differently, maybe you could. Check this
in a
out.
time that you are not working, okay? Means that that car is for business purposes, correct? It's city car in a time that you are not working, okay? Means that that car is for business purposes, correct?
Well, no, so,
The vehicle.
the vehicle, it is a city provided vehicle that I can use for, city related, stuff. But in addition to that, I have to, input my personal use and submit it to the city and then deduct that money from my, my pay stubs. So any
You're
person.
allowed, so a lot of people think you're not
Yeah,
allowed,
yeah.
so.
No, you are allowed to use it for personal use, when you do submit that mileage, to the city department, the DPW department, and then they reduce that usage from your payroll.
Because you use it for personal use.
Right.
Because a lot of people say, you know, she works at Westchester County, she drives the city car there. Well, that explains why. So sometimes people
She
make
looks
up
mad.
their own minds because of information that is not correct.
Absolutely.
So that way you can tell them what is correct,
Yeah, okay.
what is not correct, and what happened and didn't happen.
They try to clean that up, but this is what this is why I don't have a lot of friends. All right? I think this is why I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of friends because people are full of shit. All right, people are full of shit. Rue Rose, you know you wanted to ask that question because you wanted to make her look bad, but then he's trying to say, "Oh, I just wanted to try, just clear it up because people are saying this." By the way, I hear that there's story that's going to be coming out in terms of Corazon's Easy Pass account. And, all the tolls that she has been crossing or going past that I don't know, the city of Yonkers is paying for. The taxpayer, I'm hearing. This is what I'm hearing, that a story is going to be coming out about this, that she's going out of the city using the city vehicle, and the city taxpayers are paying for the gas, the Easy Pass and stuff. And this is something that people have questioned. Does she live in the city? She's leaving. Ruro said, I got a picture of you using the city car to leave out of Yonkers. So was that you, Ruro, that was sending me those pictures? These guys, right? So he doesn't ask Shanae Williams this question. He's never asked anyone else this question, but he's asked Corazon just to try to clear it up. Well, what about Shanae and the cars that she crashed, Rue? Are you going to ask her about all those cars? Are you, Rue? Are you going to ask her about her suspended license next time she calls you up to do damage control? This is why I tell you folks, you mess with him, at least I'm straight up. You know what you're going to get with me. This guy will throw you under the bus and you still go on his show. Because I've been trying to get Corazon to come on Basement Politics. Nothing. But you next to this guy. And you already know this guy's history. So, you talk about, kids in schools. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to, So you're not here on my show, though. And look what this guy does to you. He also tries to get her on you also were receiving donations. You see the papers in his hands from all these developers, right? Which she did. She received money from Ginsburg and some other ones. Nothing like the other candidates, however, or other elected officials. But, she did get money from Ginsburg. She's a part of that whole little park thing, right? She supported that all the way. But he's trying to do a gotcha, just like he did to Hector Santiago, right? He said he wasn't going to mention anything about, Hector Santiago having a history, a past history. And I don't want to bring it up because I just let you guys, but he brought it up. He mentioned it, even though he said he wouldn't. And that's dirty, but you guys continue to mess with Rue and don't come on Yonkers. I'm sorry, I'm Basement Politics. You don't come on my show. Why? At least you know what I'm going to say. I'm straight up. I'm going to be honest with you. This guy's going to throw a curveball at you. And you saw her face, right? So you should be on Freddie Vasquez. Come on my show. You know what I mean? And again, those are the things that, if I was debating her anyway, I'm out of here. If I was debating her, those are the points I would make. Corazon, you're saying all this now. You didn't say any of this before. Our schools have needed money forever. You voted with the mayor and on the budget and had no issue. Sometimes she voted against, but she knew it was going to get passed. So was that really her, opposing the budget or just trying to make it look that way? You haven't really been vocal about any of this stuff that you're being vocal about. You knew about the nepotism stuff, but now you're coming out with it. You knew about the term limit extension, but you didn't say nothing till after. Like all the other council members, you stayed quiet when the people were wondering. So this stuff makes you look doesn't make you look genuine, right? It doesn't make you look like you are truly meaning what you say and saying what you mean. And so people are going to be turned off by that. And you got to stop with the Afro-Latina and that you may be a better candidate for that reason. No, that's not true. Okay? It doesn't matter what race you are, what color you are, what your ethnicity is, does not going to make you a better candidate. What makes you a good candidate is not only are you saying the things that need to get done, but you're giving specific plans of how you intend on getting them done. Realistic plans on how you intend on getting them done. What makes you a great candidate is being consistent, being honest, being fair and unbiased, and truly representing your constituents. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I appreciate you folks again. Yes, Corazon should definitely come on. And I'm going to ask you this stuff, Corazon, but I'm telling you I am, right? I wouldn't ask you about the stupid contributions because all of them get that. But what I'll be straight up is say, listen, are you just now bringing this stuff up because you're running for mayor? I mean, you knew about the family members before you were supported by the Spanos. They threw fundraisers for you. And so people want to know about that specifically. Let's talk about it. Be prepared with your answers. All right. And you have to talk about, you have to point out the elephant in the room. You can't hide for it. Otherwise, that makes you look dishonest and things won't go your way, Corazon. But hey, there's what it is. Shout out to all the Puerto Ricans and Hispanics, Latinos out in the city. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Let's see if Corazon come on. Also, Shatika Parker. I asked you to come on. You say you're going to come on. You give me the runaround too. What's up with that with you guys? I mean, what is it? I want to know why. Be honest. I don't give a fuck. You don't like me. You think I'm ugly. My breath stinks. What? What is it? Tell me. What is it? You know what I mean? What's the issue? And by the way, too, I hear that they're also going to come out with a article about Corazon and parking tickets. She owes thousands of dollars. I don't know how true that is. What I'm hearing. She should just pay any outstanding violations. Problem solved. She should just pay any outstanding violation. You got it. You got there before I did. Yeah, I hear thousands. How does that happen? But anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Tune in next week as we come back with more podcasts Friday. Anthony DiMaggio, they're saying they were happy to see Anthony back. That's very good. It's your girlfriend. We all know.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered, the place where truth lives and corruption dies. Shout out to all my fans out there. Wow, a lot of people say hello to me, and to Freddie Vasquez. That's amazing, man. I'm reaching a lot of people. That means I'm glad the people are getting the information. More and more people are becoming aware of what's going on here in the city of Yonkers. And I think some of you that I speak about like me. I could tell you kind of like want to say hello to me, but and not that I even speak about, but some of the folks that are out there that are cool with some of the people I speak about. I see you look at me and smile. It's okay. Come say hello. I won't bite. It doesn't matter what people think. So what if they know you like me and you like my show? Doesn't matter. Have some balls. Let them know. I like Basement Politics and I watch it and I like Freddie Vasquez and I'm going to say hello to him whenever I see him. I don't care if so-and-so is there. It doesn't matter. I can tell. I can see when you guys smile. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just honest. Freddie wins. Honesty is the best policy. That's what my mama always told me. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It is what it is. I ain't perfect. Shit, God knows I done made a lot of mistakes, and I continue to make them, and I will because I'm a human being. But what I don't do is rob people, steal from people, put people down, lie to people so I can benefit. That's not what I do. I seek to help people as best as I can. And so, listen, whatever the hell you do, as long as you're helping people, you're not hurting people, you're doing your best, you're a good human, you're respectful, I have no problems with you. You know. But if you're an elected official, I'm going to hold you to a certain standard. And if you're not operating at that standard, then I will have to inform not only you, but the entire city. And that's why I was over there, Shanae. I went over there to find out what's going on and why you are not getting things done. And I have to step in and do your job. I mean, at this point, I'm truly going to invoice you. I got those cars removed. I'm invoicing you. I spent about 2-3 weeks on that. And this is why the people voting for Westchester County Legislator District 16 should truly consider who they will vote for. Because Shanae, you're kind of lazy, Shanae. Seriously, you like, you know, you and Mike Breen, you know what I mean? You're kind of lazy. Or you just don't care, which bothers me. Because it's like, so what? I'm the councilman. I don't got to do nothing. So what? I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. I don't care. Who are you? You're beneath me. That I don't like that attitude. I don't like that. Change that attitude, girl. Corazon, I don't know, man. I just don't know. You got it. I don't know. It's like a certain oomph that I just have to see. And there's so much that people are going to attack you on. And you have to better prepare for that, especially you're going to see this guy. You should know he may come at you with something. You should say, yeah, you saw me in the city vehicle leaving. Okay. Is there an issue with that? Oh, well, I take care of it. I pay for that. I cover my personal expenses. Next question. Yes, I voted for the development because I was under the impression that we would see jobs come along with them. Now I'm running for mayor because I too was bamboozled. That's what you got to do. Have a good night, folks. No! I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. God bless you. Good night.